the data in grocery, if you could reverse compile it on a household basis, you'll know the age, the amount of children, what they're into. So then you can start enticing them to buy or to rent or to do things with the other products that you carry. Why wouldn't you sell other items on your website that you've
got the eyeballs,
yeah,
you've got the traffic.
100%. Why wouldn't you present them with things that they need? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Digital Grocer, Mercatus' very own podcast. We're in the middle of the trade show floor at Groceryshop 2019.
Hence the background noise.
And Mark Fairhurst is here joining me.
I'm no longer sequestered.
You're no longer sequestered on a small island.
That's right.
In Lake Ontario. I'm your host, Sylvain Perrier, President and CEO of Mercatus, and Mark is our Senior Director of Marketing.
Yes.
Mark, what's the energy like here on the floor?
It's electric. Oh, that just might be the dry air in Vegas. I don't know.
I saw someone generate static electricity about 20 minutes ago. They burst into flames. That's how electric it is in here, ladies and gentlemen.
It has been over 100 degrees.
It's been over 100 degrees. Yeah. It's kind of interesting, when you come through the floor versus some of the other events that we've attended, especially Groceryshop last year.
Right.
The degree of maturity, I think an understanding of where the space is going is really shifting. Mm-hmm. There seems to be, this is my impression, I've only gone to a few of the sessions since kind of showing up, is there's kind of knowledge right now where I think the industry is ready for not what's new, but what's better.
Right.
In the sense that they all capitulated years ago and decided to go one route, and I think now they've kind of woken up and become more wise in the sense of what they want to kind of tackle. Are you getting that sense as well?
Yeah, I definitely. Don't get this wrong. There's a lot of startups, a lot of technology companies that are in the perimeter of this space.
Correct.
Even on the show floor, but you're right. They understand what works. Mm-hmm. They just want to know how to make it work better.
Absolutely. We're also seeing some of the retailers we work with and some of the ones that, we're talking to are generating north of $150 to $160 million in revenue on an annual basis from an e-commerce perspective. And I think they have sights on growing that business.
Absolutely.
And so they're looking not just for the new cutting edge solutions that are give them that kind of that next cachet with their consumers, but things that are going to help them drive efficiency.
Absolutely.
What they're trying to do.
And they want proven solutions.
And solutions that are, ultimately at the end of the day that are going to stand the test of time. And we're seeing some of that on the floor. Yeah. We're surrounded here by some of our partners. Flip is across from us.
Flip, Quotient,
Inmar's just down the way. Yep. Shipped is also down the way. Yep. And there's tons of other ones. I'm excited. We have another podcast that's going to be coming up. We're going to be talking about marketplaces.
We tried to get that recorded this morning. a little technical issue.
Technical challenges. It's part of life.
You gotta roll with it.
I'm excited to talk about marketplaces because there's this notion at the end of the day, and I think you and I have talked about this. Certainly we haven't shared this with our audience. It's the reverse Amazon model.
Yeah, and when you described it that way, when I first heard it, right. I got it right away.
Did you?
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a great analogy. So
yeah.
Go in, explain for the audience
yes.
exactly what we mean.
Sure, I will. So if you think of it this way, in the United States, when you look at retail, we talk about in terms of household penetration rate. What does that mean? So that really means is how often do households actually go into this specific retail vertical? And in terms of grocery, it has a degree of penetration of, I believe, higher than 98%.
Right. Yep.
Which means on any given time, people are actually going into a grocery store. And guess what? That's common sense. People have to eat. You can't always go out to a restaurant and so on. Amazon, depending on their vertical, what I mean by that is their products, right? It could be sporting goods. It could be something else. Now, sporting goods is a great example, theoretically in Canada, right? Because we have winter and then we have summer. Those are typically visited twice a year, that specific vertical. right? So you think hockey equipment in the wintertime, and then you think of the summer stuff, right? So
Right.
that's
Baseball,
baseball, soccer. So
soccer.
it's a two-time hit, quite frankly, right? So if you're Amazon, and that's a repeatable model in the other verticals, whether it's books, so on and so on, what do you do to increase that household penetration rate? Well, you start selling groceries.
Right.
You buy Whole Foods. And so then you start leveraging the data. I know you and I have talked about the sense that the data in grocery, if you could reverse compile it on a household basis, you'll know the age, the amount of children, what they're into. So then you can start enticing them to buy or to rent or to do things with the other products that you carry. Okay.
And it's just not grocery product. It would be pharmaceutical.
Well, they bought PillPack.
Yeah.
PillPack, which I think the deal that they have with Berkshire Hathaway and Chase, there's something that's going to emerge out of that. Okay, so now you understand household penetration rate, why potentially Amazon has entered into grocery and the acquisition of Whole Foods, right? So let's assume it's a data play and the ability to sell more products. So if a grocer today online is doing 3 to 5 to 8% of gross revenue in their e-commerce realm, which is typically their best customer migrates to online, and they're buying household penetration rate 98%, probably 1 to 2 times a week. I think online, I can't remember our statistic, but I think it's 1 every 2 weeks.
Correct.
And it's a significantly large basket than what we see typically in store. Why wouldn't you sell other items on your website that you've
got the eyeballs, you've got the traffic?
100%. Why wouldn't you sell them? Like in the best, if you know, this is a bad example, but if it's a consumer that's buying food for an elderly parent, okay, so why wouldn't you sell things that are medical supply related?
Medical, surgical,
right? Walkers, canes, kind of those things. Or if it's a young family that just had a baby, why wouldn't you present them with the things that they need?
Furniture,
strollers, bassinets, those things. And there's technology out here. There's some on the floor here that operate these marketplaces that can easily be bolted on. And I think that's ultimately, if retailers, our theme here at the show, Mark, is back in charge.
Yep. We're helping grocers get back in charge of their digital commerce future.
100%. So if that is the case, and if you're a retailer that has seen past the curve of the earth, not many people do, but if you understand that it's more than just about food, that you're very consumer focused and customer centric, and you have the ability, because you see so many of these consumers on a weekly basis, why wouldn't you want to sell them other things? It's just common sense.
You've got the relationships.
100%.
You understand their household structure. Assuming you are a digitally mature grocer and you have invested in that capability. Exactly. You will add to your bottom line.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned it, right? So if you think a traditional grocer makes maybe 3%, right? There are fees for running your e-commerce platform, and we've proven through our own ROI models, contrary to some of the other solutions that are out there in the market, this is a profitable venture for a retailer. So if you could sell other items that are generating, call it 15 to 65 points, and you take a percentage of that, not only are you contributing back to your bottom line, but you're offsetting your costs in running actually an e-commerce program.
Exactly.
But even more so, think of the richness of the data that you're collecting in that sense. And now not only you're thinking in terms of a consumer, in terms of lifetime value, but if you could journey map the life of an average shopper, and you can with the historical data they have, if you could anticipate when they're going to need something, that's massive. And I think that falls short for a lot of grocery retailers out there that, think of their data as a blip in time to be able to sell 1 or 2 items, as opposed to anticipating down the road what they may need. And that's why I'm so excited about our aisle 1 stuff. That we're unveiling kind of the second phase of it connected to our platform today.
That was the big news that we messaged just before the show.
Yeah.
We've invested heavily in artificial intelligence. I think given the capability and the flexibility of the platform.
Yep.
And we've discovered artificial intelligence independent of that consumer engagement piece.
Correct.
Is very, very difficult.
it's challenging in the sense that, most people think when you get into the AI space, it's the complexity of the volume of the data or the gaps in the data, whether it's CRM data, whether it's transactional data, whether it's usability data that is available with respect to the digital channels. But I think at the end of the day is, for us, what the realization came is, what questions do we want to ask? How do we want them answered? Is it an efficient way of doing AI, quite frankly? And I think that was the big hurdle that we had to face. So I'm kind of excited in terms of where we're heading with it, because I think what we're going to find out is, to continue making and driving that technology forward, that it becomes beneficial for the retailer. You have to coach the retailer to say, well, these are the questions that you should be asking. And not just about adding one or two products to the basket, but really making it customer-centric so that experience online is that much richer.
Yeah, and for us, it's basically preaching to the converted, because this is the vision we've had all along.
Correct.
So it's exciting.
It's exciting, and I'm happy to be here, and I got to thank our friends over at Mouth Media for being with us here and running our podcast. It's kind of exciting. Mark, what can we expect from the Mercatus team over the next few days?
Well, speaking of podcasts, so we have more interviews that take place from the show floor.
Mm-hmm.
We have great retailer conversations that we will be engaged with, and we're looking forward to new and product and retailer announcements following the show.
I know. I'm excited about some of the stuff that the team back in Toronto is working on.
Absolutely.
And I'm looking forward to be able to announce it to the broader industry.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Stay connected to make sure to download our next episode that we're going to be recording right here. It's going to be crazy. And Mark, how do people get a hold of us?
www.mercatus.com.
Fantastic.
And then follow us on social.
All right, folks. Take care.